Hello viewers and welcome to Business PNG. There's so much spectacle about the Papua New Guinea economy. Many critics say it will plummet this year to an estimate 4% from last year's 9.2%. However, the Treasury Department says the projected 4% drop is being highly exaggerated, as statistics show that our GDP currently stands at 5.9% with possibilities of an increase. Here's the Treasurer, Don Pollier.
It's my pleasure to welcome to Business PNG the Honourable Don Pollier, Minister for Treasury. Thank you so much for taking the time today, Minister.
Thank you, Anna. It's wonderful to be here.
Perhaps we could just start by giving us a general economic update for this moment.
Well, a message that I can give to you, Annie, and to the rest of Papua New Guinea is that Papua New Guinea's economy is doing very well under very difficult circumstances. Our gross domestic product, the GDP growth, has been upgraded from a projected 4% growth to 5.9% growth now. That's a projection that the Treasury has given over the last 3 months. Our inflation has been downgraded from 8% down to 6%. And I'm seeing that continue to have a positive effect on the economy and the growth of the economy in the next few months, in the next 12 months. And I'm also seeing foreign investments coming to the country. Confidence is there. And I'm seeing employment is not dropping, it's growing. So it's a very good opportunity in PNG in the next 12 months. We have seen our economy performing very well over the last 3 months. There's a very good working relationship between the monetary and the fiscal policies of government. Monetary being managed by the Bank of Papua New Guinea under the leadership of the governor of the bank, Lawyer Bakane and his management team. They have done a good job. And under Treasury, the Secretary of Treasury Tosali and his management team, there's consistent dialogue to making sure that there is price stability in the economy, and we see a sustainable growth pattern taking place. So in generic view, Papua New Guinea's economy is doing well.
So excellent trends. Now, what do you think has given the confidence to foreign investors to come in?
It's macroeconomic level stability. Over the last 7 to 10 years, you've seen Papua New Guinea turn around from a very challenging time in the 1990s to creating very strong fiscal strategies and macroeconomic policies in the areas of debt management, in the areas of our fiscal regime as to spending government resources within affordability. The country has done so well. Under the Somare government and now taken over by the O'Neill Dion government, the fiscal strategies continue to remain, and that macroeconomic stability has created that confidence in the economy. And you've seen a capital flows, foreign capital flows into Papua New Guinea because we've got confidence here. And you've seen our foreign reserve at the moment at the 7 to 8 billion kina level, unprecedented over the many years in the past. So it is pure macroeconomic stability driven by very strong fiscal and monetary policies that has seen the government stable for the last 10 years. And I'm seeing that stability continue in the medium term to the long term with prudent fiscal management of the economy. And that has attracted the business and private sectors and investment into Papua New Guinea's economy. And I'm seeing more investments coming in and the need for the government to perform in terms of sustaining that macroeconomic stability will become very paramount as we move into the future.
Insights into the 2013 budget when we come back. The 2013 budget alone represents a marked change from recent years, with the largest deficit on record. That's 2.5 billion kina, and substantially more funds allocated to the lower level administrative units. So how has this been faring for the government, taking into account the challenges associated with the implementation of the budget?
So, Minister, what do you say to the detractors of the budget? 6 months ago, when you announced it, there was many who said, "Oh, far too risky a budget, etc., etc." These are obviously good key performance indicators. What do you say to them?
The budget, well, if you look at the 2013 budget, it is a budget unlike any other. It's for the first time you've seen us shifting from the old traditional parameters to a completely new focus. What you've seen, we have laid down the budget frame for a 5-year period instead of concentrating on one fiscal year budget. So we've got a multi-year budget in place, a money plan for the country, giving that high level of guide and projecting it over a medium term in line with our medium term strategies, development strategies, and fiscal strategies, and so forth. We've also shifted a lot of attention from the top level, the top level government expenditure and the implementation of projects down to the sub-national level of governments, in the provincial level and in the local level governments. And so much resource has been provided in those areas. You will have also seen that we've made a lot of predictions based on commodity prices for Papua New Guinea. The LNG project being a breadwinner for Papua New Guinea that is coming on stream. But our traditional commodities, how they perform, have been factored in the budget. So you've seen us lay down a budget that is quite different to the kind of budget we've had in the past. And another very important notable fact that needs to be always understood and known is that we've got a 2.5 billion kina deficit inbuilt in the budget deliberately to stimulate growth at a time when we saw the activities induced by the LNG project construction phase, when the work there comes to a cessation, you'll have to have work taking place around the country to absorb the employment and the work and expertise skills at the infrastructure and other areas of development in the country. So we have 2.5 billion kina deficit that we've got to make sure we finance and manage that, so we don't blow that up to beyond the planned deficit. So these are the factors that, if not properly managed properly in the implementation of government programs and projects, can see the threat threatening the Papua New Guinea and the macroeconomic stability. But provided those factors are well managed, then you will see a higher level of predictability given to business investment, and also the government's delivering programs on the ground. And that's why earlier in the year I said there are risks, but if the risks can be managed collectively by every player, and you will find we will have minimized the risks and maximize our benefit. Right. I also did highlight the fact that the LNG project, the ExxonMobil, is a very important project, that the budget is also taken into serious consideration, and therefore any disturbance or any delay in the works that takes place to meeting the deadline when the first flow of gas must take place, and that is next year, that also will threaten the country's economy and the potential as business investment. So it requires the discipline, the determination, the commitment of all parties, with Prime Minister O'Neill taking the lead, Deputy Prime Minister Leo Dion in support with the government members and members of parliament, ministers and members of parliament, but more importantly, our people who live around those areas, the citizens of this nation, the public service, the private sector, NGOs, the women groups in the country, and the youth. All of us, we've got to work together to making sure that we diffuse any threats, but we continue to capitalize on opportunities to maximizing the economic gains for our country and for our people.
So do you think, sir, that current performance will silence the critics, or it has silenced them?
Current performance of the economic outcomes in Papua New Guinea, well, like I alluded to earlier, the indicators at the moment are very, very positive. Very positive indeed. I've seen critics making a lot of comments, but these comments are very unscrutinized properly, have not been studied well, and they're subject to a lot of questions that I raise. For instance, there was one critic about Papua New Guinea's economic growth will plummet down to some 4% or so forth. I question that. The simple reason is that the reports and the indications, the pragmatic results that I have in my hands are opposite to such criticism. For instance, the Honorable Governor for Chimbu came into my office the other day and presented me a revised budget for me to approve that budget for him, because he recorded over the last 3 months a surplus in his budget of 1.2 million kina.
Excellent.
And Chimbu is one of those very small provinces in Papua New Guinea. Chimbu does not have a large economic base. It's very, very limited in terms of generating revenue for the province. But when the provincial governor comes in and gives him a surplus budget and he says, and I ask him the question, what are the source of income? And he says, from business tax and personal income tax, or GST, in fact, really, GSTs. And I said, that's wonderful. That gives me the tangible evidence that there is growth in a small province in Papua New Guinea, in Chimbu province. Now, that also gives me the indication that there is employment, there is trade and business taking place, and there's GDP growing, because these are indications.
Yes.
The same, I've seen the governor for Enga also coming with a budget to see an increase in his budget. It's a review to the budget. So that also speaks a volume of positiveness in the growth of Papua New Guinea's economy. I also get a report from Ms. Berry Palaso, who is the commissioner of the Internal Revenue Commission, who gives me the report of a 50 million kina over and above the projection of the 2013 budget for the first 3 months. So when you have revenues coming in for Papua New Guinea, we're performing 50 million kina. Is a modest figure, but it is a positive sign that the country's economy is not one as indicated by other critics. If we are getting 50 million extra above our projections in the budget, regardless of the downturn in commodity prices, that indicates that the economy is growing under very difficult circumstances, and it is a positive sign. And that gives me the confidence to tell Papua New Guineans that the GDP in Papua New Guinea is growing over and above the projected 4% GDP growth to 5.9% GDP growth. And that's a figure supported by the Bank of Papua New Guinea. It's supported by the systems of Treasury. And Treasury systems are one we are very, very conservative people. We do not just give figures without properly assessing it. So I can give the full confidence to Papua New Guinea that the Papua New Guinea economy is growing, is looking positive, and I like to lay any critics to rest. Of course, we've got challenges, but our economy is growing in a positive way indeed. And the Prime Minister is very serious about that. The rest of the government is very serious. And we like to see that that growth is maintained and improved in the medium term and in the long term.
Our interview continues.
Yes, we've got a delivery in place. We've got a structure, the systems are there. We've got institutions already in PNG.
If you've just joined us, you're watching Business PNG, and we're speaking with Treasurer Don Polier. So there's so much funds allocated to the lower levels of government. Now the question here is, do we have the capacity for implementation at these levels?
Now, with about 45% of the budget committed to development and a lot of that being delivered to the lower level of government, provincial and the district level, do we have the mechanisms in place for delivery, and have you gauged how this is being implemented at the moment?
Yes, we've got a delivery in place. We've got a structure, the systems are there. We've got institutions already in PNG to ensure the implementation does take place. For instance, we've got national government who has put down the budget, and we've got the departments of government, Department of Health, Department of Education, Department of Works, the ports, the state-owned enterprises, the Department of Police, and so forth. We've got all those important institutions of government, whether statutory or department, all of them are there, or whether they're SOEs, they're there. And the next level of government is the provincial level government. And they're there, and you've got those agents, the land agents, they've got alignment down to the provinces and linking to the districts. Every districts in PNG, they've got a district management team on the ground. So the structure, the system is already there. There's not to say that the system is perfect, but the basics are already there. What needs to be amended in some areas, whether we need to strengthen it to perform more effectively and more efficiently, or whether we need to cut out some that are performing duplicated functions and strengthening only one system to deliver, abolishing parallel systems and so forth. Those are the things that we can do, but the point is that we've got a system already there. The second thing is we've got a public service that is manning the system, making sure the system does work. We have now, who are the custodians of the system, who are the stewards and stewardesses to make sure to make sure that the system does deliver, and fixing if or restoring if the systems do not deliver. And you've got the political heads there. And at the district level, you've got the local level government system in place as well, supported by the district administration to do, or the district management. So we've got all that there already. But we are also aware of the fact that not all of those structures and the positions in place are all filled with the qualified people or enough qualified people to mend the systems and make sure that delivery of government goods and services, implementation of government programs do get down to the ground to achieve the tangible benefit as intended. I'm confident that I'm seeing the system is working. There's nothing wrong with the system, really, generally speaking. I think it is what we are seeing. The challenges are the capacity issues where we probably might have overlooked an important function of government in human resource development.
Right. Yeah.
That we have not done it so vehemently like we should have done, like any other modern economy. At the current age and current era, we should have done that. We have not done, and that is where I find a challenge. Otherwise, the basic mechanisms of delivering government service are already on the ground.
Up next, a look into the key performance enablers of the 2013 budget. Welcome back. Now, during the announcement of the budget earlier, the Minister made mention of specific key enablers: health, education, law and order, and infrastructure. How have they been faring in the last couple of months?
Now, Minister, you mentioned there some of the key enablers: health, education, law and order, etc. How are they being impacted by current economic performance?
Well, to be honest, Ania, the story is both good and bad. Good in the sense that over the last 10 years to the current time, we've seen some very strong and positive growth in some sectors, but also in the same period there are some sectors that have not performed so well. And that has now given rise to the Oniljon government to put money where we found the country not doing so well because of the lack of attention or lack of adequate commitment given to those sectors. To give an indication, in the areas of transportation, storage, and communication, the economy has seen a strong growth in this sector.
Right.
Transportation, communication, and storage, we've recorded the biggest growth in PNG over the last 10 years to the current time. So good news. Like, for instance, like we're doing right now, communication, dissemination of information through mass media and through television.
Right.
That's done so well. The mobile telephone industry, being mobile. Now you've got City phone, you've got the digital, especially with the competition brought into the industry, you've seen the economy growing.
Right.
And that has also given rise to movement of transportation, of goods and services, and business and trade taking place in that sector. The second strongest performing area has been the construction industry. Construction meaning in whether it's road construction, wharf construction, airport construction, maintenance works, in mining industry, private sector. In fact, the private sector in the building industry has taken that lead. So we've seen a strong growth in that sector. Earlier we talked about the confidence that is there in the economy and that is attracting investment. So combine both with the private and the public injection of funds, we've seen that sector growing. The third area has been the area of wholesale and retails in Papua New Guinea throughout the country. We've seen a growth in there. And of course, onto real estates and businesses. There's been some talk about the affordability of real estate in PNG and business, but we have seen that sector grow. So those are the areas that we've seen remarkable growth in Papua New Guinea's economy, and that has spurred employment and spin-off businesses,
Right.
Having a positive domino effect in the rest of the economy. And I'm happy that we have done so well, and I'm seeing that those sectors continuing to grow. And this is the good news.
Yes, it is.
The bad news is we've not seen so much of a growth in the areas of agriculture. Agriculture is declining. Not in the far past. We had agriculture grow 36%. But in here this year, we're seeing it must grow at 28% in 2012-2013 period. And 2017, if we allow this current trend to continue, we're seeing it reducing down to 23%.
But so what do you attribute that to?
I'll come to that later.
Right.
And if you remember, I'll come to that later.
Sure.
The other sector that does not be performing so well is electricity and water. We've not done so well there. The growth has been very, very minimal. And that has, in a way, derailed progress in the other areas. And, of course, the social sector, including law and order. Health has been poorly performing. Education has been performing also poorly in terms of quality and mass education. And law and order has also been affected. So you've had the rate of literacy and growing in PNG was low over the last 10 years. You've been seeing an escalation in law and order. You've seen an agriculture industry declining. And you've seen the services like the water and electricity deteriorating. So you compare that against the growth of the other sectors that I've mentioned, you'll find it's like a ailing mother trying to get well, but the sickness is still there.
Right.
You see, so it's really you want to get well, but you cannot get well. You want to get well, but you cannot get well. See, it's really a big challenge for Papua New Guinea. What has the Honorable government done when it came into office? We said the priority must be education. The priority must be not just education, but quality education. The priority must be health services, free basic health care and service for our people. Basic education free for our children. And subsidizing for the upper echelon of education for our children. And we say we must address the areas of water and electricity immediately. And you'll have seen us signing some loan agreements where we draw down resources to address water, sewerage, electricity challenge we have in Papua New Guinea. And I have signed 2 loans already to address power in Port Moresby, and then I'm addressing power in other parts of the country as well, with some of these development partners. So these are the challenges we have, and your question as to have we seen some improvements, I will be able to give you a better middle financial outcome report when I do that in July, as per the Fiscal Responsibilities Act, and I'm required to give the report. And I will give some detailed figures as to how much have we seen improved in the social sector, in the water and electricity, in agriculture. What do we need to do? How have we grown there? So this is a report that I'm prepared to present to the people of this country in my mid-year finance outcome report that I will be giving in July. But I'm giving you an overall perspective as to how much we have done and how much the country's economy has performed over the last 10 years to the current time. And I'm determined that we should improve the indicators on the social sector, agriculture, as well as in the power and electricity and water.
And that's all we have lined up for this edition. To access our programs, log on to the website now shown on your screen. And don't forget to send us your feedback or suggestions via email or Facebook. Until next Tuesday, I'm Festus Maiganap. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.